we go.
Uh-oh. Socket has bent pins.
Uh-oh.
What is
Any
that?
second now. We
It's
are
Guile's
here.
theme. Hey.
Hello, Kyle. How
Hi.
are you?
I'm good.
It
I'm
is
glad we
nice
just
and
sorted out
bright
all
in
those audio issues like real professionals.
It's not a stream if you don't have video issues. Let's watch the Avengers. This is the Avengers.
Oh my gosh, it's loud.
Accessories trailer.
That's pretty cool. This is the most excited I could possibly be for a superhero game. I like that. That
All the accessories that you see here, the side arcs, shooter rod, the topper, we put our order in you do get your Avengers.
That's pretty cool.
It sounds like I'm trapped in a tunnel. Wow.
Yeah, that tunnel. That I like that grid of lights next to the drop targets. That thing looks super cool. I don't know what it does, but I want to do it. So.
Tunnel. All right. How do I sound, everybody? How does Kyle sound?
Hi.
You look great, Kyle. But
Thanks.
it's up to our viewers to let you know how you sound.
Okay.
Much better, loud and clear. Awesome. I moved my microphone. I scooted up closer to it. All right. So in episode 20 with Rollergames, Kyle's doing a very important install. You know, this is an install that he swears by. It's very his favorite.
Yeah.
And we've been begging to see it on the show. So you're doing an install for an NVRAM. Can you explain to us what that means?
Yeah, we're gonna take that one out and put this one in. No,
And
what we're
why?
doing is we're eliminating the batteries.
Okay.
The old RAM requires batteries in voltage to keep its memory. And the memory is going to be all the stuff like your settings and your high scores and stuff like that. Which again, like you could run a game without batteries. You just have to set your options back up before you start playing or whatnot. But instead of keeping the batteries on the board or using a remote battery pack like we did on the Bride of Pinbot, we're going to replace the RAM, which requires battery voltage to keep running, with one that does not. So yeah, this will be a complicated install. This is very much like, this requires a lot of skills, but I want
This
to...
is advanced,
like,
right?
very
An
advanced
install. If you're not familiar with soldering, doing board work, then perhaps it's not the time.
Leave it up to a professional. If it's not even just doing board work, it's like doing like very delicate board work. These are these boards have very teeny weeny little traces, and if you screw any of them up, it's game over. So
Wow.
we're going to what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of do the I'll call this like the DEFCON 5 installation procedure, where we are going to like do this the safest way possible. A lot of times when you're removing these old circuits, integrated circuits, you'll have maybe some corrosion damage, or they will be crusty and nasty. And we're going to use like every tool in the arsenal, but the way we're going to do it does require destroying the old RAM chip. We are going to cut each leg individually and gently extract the legs. Now, obviously, this is not the way to do it if you need to save the chip, or if you need to test that chip or something like that. But this is the safest way to remove an IC without ripping up traces or fillets that's possible. This is not a valuable chip. I have a big old box full of 6116s that I will never ever use, which is why we're just going to demonstrate this method here on this chip. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Any questions?
Yeah, actually. Mike McHugh on Facebook says, isn't there a problem replacing the RAM with NVRAM on games that require the clock, like Funhouse?
Yep. There's some later Williams games that will do some fun stuff, like a Midnight Madness mode, or like on Twilight Zone, where the game actually keeps time. It is not recommended to replace the RAM with an NVRAM because the way, this is going to be kind of abstract, but the way that these things work is it basically takes a snapshot of what was in the RAM at the time the power went away, right? So you turn your Twilight Zone off at 3 p.m. and you turn it back on at 8 p.m. When you turn it back on, this doesn't know that time has advanced. It remembers everything at the time it lost its power. So this thing still thinks it is 3 p.m. So that's why it's not recommended in some situations. But in this game, it's totally fine. Again, it's like doing a Ramtron is plug and play in a lot of applications. Sorry, I keep saying Ramtron. That's just like what the word I use for NVRAM, because this is a Ramtron branded chip. But in some games like the Data East and the Sega games, this is like a plug and play thing. You pop the old RAM out, you pop this one in, it's good to go because they're socketed. These chips are soldered straight into the board. Where, like, if you look at here, these are the ROMs. This is the game's program here. These are in sockets, so I can remove these and replace them. This chip here, which is the RAM, is soldered straight to the board. So we are not actually soldering the NVRAM in. We are going to install a socket, an IC socket. So then, just in case, if we ever needed to remove it again, we could take it out. It is a best practice to, if you ever remove an IC from a circuit board, always install a socket. They don't cost much, and it's just going to save you a lot of troubleshooting in the future. A couple weekends ago, we were working on the Bride of Pinbot, and I had a blown column driver on the switch matrix, and that chip blows up all the time. If you ever introduce solenoid voltage to your switch matrix, it dies. So again, it's like whenever you take one of those things out, you put a socket in, because next time you accidentally, bop solenoid voltage onto your switch matrix, you get a screwdriver, pop it out, put a new ULN 3080 whatever in there, bam, you're good to go. So it'll save you a lot of time in the future.
Nice.
Long answer, sorry.
That was great. And we have a good tip from Jeffrey Jones, who's joined us today. He said, if you're new to chip replacement, use your continuity meter to trace out where each leg of the chip goes. Then when you solder on your new NVRAM chip, test the continuity to be sure it connects to where it's supposed to. And you may want to check the leg to be sure you don't join legs on accident.
Again, that's why we're installing a socket, to make sure we never bridge anything on the actual chip. It's a little easier to solder to the socket than it is to the chip. But that's also why we're going to do the DEFCON 5 method of removing each leg and doing it very gently. Because again, we talked about this when the first time we worked on a circuit board. Here's your circuit board, right? On the top, you have what's called a pad, right? You've got, I'll use the small camera. You've got the little silver circles here that this is where solder can adhere to make a connection. But between the two pads on each side of the board, you have another metallic bit that's called a fillet. And the fillet allows the solder to flow from the solder side of the board, which is the back, to the component side of the board. And if you're not careful and you don't remove all the solder around these legs of this thing, you'll rip the fillets out, which is bad. In certain situations, you just have to be skilled and know what you're doing to be able to get around that problem. I think most of the connections for this chip are on the back side of the board. Where is it? Nope, I'm wrong. Most of them are actually on the top of the board. So well, we'll see, because we're going to take it out pretty soon. So just, again, this is like a very advanced board work. Changing a transistor, very easy. That's super easy. You can do that with, standard tools. But doing this kind of stuff, like, definitely, if you're not comfortable, bring it to a professional.
Yeah, Family Games actually asked have we ever thought about Marco Pinball offering board repair services?
Yeah, if they will hire somebody to do all the stuff I do at the office, I'll sit there and work on everyone's boards. But if you're local,
send your boards to Kyle.
No, if you're local, I'll help you out. But there's a lot of really talented people on the internet that actually do this for a real living. And I would recommend subbing out to some of these guys. There's a dude that is always chipping in with like the most helpful pinball information on the pinball repair group. I think he's in Missouri, I think. Chris Heibler. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but that dude's been fixing boards for a long time, and he's a very talented person you can send your boards to. But yeah. So we could start this procedure. We have here on generous continuous loan, because I still have not bought my solder sucker that was stolen from me back. Steve Bertok loaned us our vacuum-powered desoldering gun.
Very important tool to have.
Yes. We have some nasty, goopy paste flux that we are going to use to help get this 30-plus-year-old solder to melt. And we have a very hot soldering iron. The other tools I have with me right now are just like my handy-dandy bent screwdriver, because I always have to have this on the tool bench because it's my favorite tool.
Oh, that should be an emote, the bent screwdriver.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. We have some good flush cutters. Everyone needs flush cutters. We have some solder. I have this really gross toothbrush that I use to brush flux onto everything. And I have the rest of my tools right next to me, because you can't just keep everything on your tool bench, right?
Yeah, Kevin Moore said it looks like you need a bigger bench.
Yeah, I really do. This is just a crummy Rubbermaid table that's tall enough for me to sit on a chair. I'd love to have a real workbench again.
Family Games asked what the Marco part number for the bent screwdriver is. We need to get that.
Next time I go to Ace Hardware, I will buy some and I will manufacture some. We can have some. Hey, there's a subscriber perk. There we go. We just figured it out.
Said we have a lot of screwdrivers. We were talking about getting Marco labeled on it, so maybe you can bend them too.
We could get some nice Ace or some nice screwdrivers, and we can bend them, and that can be our sweet subscriber perk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before you start, can we get just a little zoom in on Kyle sitting there, just to fill the frame?
Am I a little too far out?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, camera zoom man.
Thank you. And just to remind you guys, we have our free shipping for orders over $99 code.
Oh yeah, what is it?
Code is Ramtron.
Ramtron.
Right? Steve?
Yes.
As seen on the small screen here.
As soon as I get it in there.
It's on its way. Ramtron. So what this chip is again, now I'm going to explain kind of what's going on. We'll go over the basic process. If you look on the circuit board or the computer here, you see how we've got this chip installed, but on the silk screen, we've got some empty little through holes here. This board was manufactured to be able to take 2 different size RAMs. So what's in there right now is a 6116. What we're going to be installing is a 6264. It's a larger RAM. It has more space, so I'm not going to get into that because I'll say something wrong and I'll be embarrassed. So what we're going to do, again, is remove this, install the larger IC socket, and we also have to move this jumper right here. This jumper is going to change the way that the computer can address the RAM. The RAM basically has data coming in, and the computer can pull that data out when necessary. So what I think, I don't remember exactly what this jumper changes, but I believe it changes where some of those address lines address to. Each one of these pins does something different, right? The first pin is generally 5 volts going into the chip. And then one of these is ground, and then the rest of them are all address or data lines for the most part. So again, I'm not an engineer, but I know how to do this. So what I will do is the reason why these flush cutters are so handy is, again, they're angled. So what these allow me to do is to get the back end of the cutter. Let me see if I get this. You can get the back end of the cutter flush with the chip, and I can just snip the legs. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to try to make this visible. So I'm looking at my computer monitor over there. I'm going to just come in here, and I'm going to try to cut the legs of the RAM as close as possible to the body of the chip as I can. What this is going to allow us to do is possibly hold on to this while we're sucking through the solder sucker and then extract the leg of the RAM. The other way we will do this actually is we'll heat the back of the chip with a soldering iron, and we'll extract the legs manually and then use the solder sucker to free up the hole. That's like the safest way to do it. And since this is my game and System 11C computers are very expensive, I'm going to do as best I can to not ruin it.
Yeah. Take your time.
Take my time, even though everyone's watching me.
But look, you're not even shaking. I'd be like, snip. Oh, wrong leg.
You know, I still get nervous, but the overwhelming anxiety that we used to have before we started this is kind of gone. So thanks everyone for being nice.
Yay. Oh, and if you're on Twitch, don't forget to use your Kyle emoji.
Oh gosh.
My favorite.
Can we get a David Hasselhoff on Baywatch backglass emote thing?
Yeah?
Someone's gonna have to teach me how to do this, and one day you're all gonna wake up to a bunch of real dumb stuff.
It's not hard. Just 112 by 112 pixels on Photoshop. Keep it under 25 kilobytes. Send it to me.
I'm not smart enough to use Photoshop.
That goes for anyone in the chat too. If you want to make us some emotes for Twitch, I will trade you with some Marco swag. Send me some cool emotes for us to use. We'll send you a t-shirt. Eh?
If you are ever doing this, again, be mindful of how big your tools are, where things are going. You don't want to jam this thing down and then snip and then start cutting the board or cutting the traces on the board. So as I'm doing this, again, I'm just kind of getting the tips of the cutter up against here and just cutting. And they're coming out rough, but it's, again, ensuring that I'm not cutting anything other than the legs of this poor old RAM that did its job well, and now I'm ruining it.
And I think you said it earlier, but do you throw that RAM piece away now, or do you keep it for later? Or?
No, this is, when you do it this way, this is non-usable anymore. I mean, I guess if you really wanted to sit there and solder little legs onto each of these stubs I'm leaving, you could, but these are very cheap and easy to get still.
Desperate times take desperate measures.
Yeah, if this was a PIA, one of these 6821s, I would not be doing it this way. But since these are very cheap and I have hundreds of them, here we go. We have a naked chip. It's a surface mount chip now. It's a dumb joke for bored people. Anyways, okay. So now we've got the naked section of the board, and you can kind of see a little better where I was saying we've got those naked sections here, and they even have it silk screened onto the board, the different sizes of chips you can put in. I think it's a 28 pin for the 6264 and a 24 pin for the 6116. What I will do now is we are going to brush a little bit of flux on each and every single one of these pins, on the top and the bottom. I want to really ensure that this solder is going to totally melt. And as I painstakingly remove each and every single one of these legs, We can get some cool banter going, I think. This is and I guess too, it's like, this is why people that work on circuit boards are not cheap. You know, this is, not only does it take like a set of skills, right? It's, this is very painstaking. There's no way to do this faster, right? And ensure a positive outcome.
Patience is key.
Accuracy. Do we have any lacquer thinner here? Would you mind checking on that shelf? I don't have any flux remover. This stuff is sticky and gross and nasty, and it looks bad when you leave it on the board. But it's not really going to hurt anything. It'll mostly come off as I melt it away. But you can clean old flux off with lacquer thinner or special flux remover. All right. I'm going to go back here and make sure I am removing, or I'm brushing flux on the correct chip, and it is that one. Right? Yep. No lacquer thinner. Okay, this is just going to be kind of a ugly board, but it's okay. You guys won't tell my secret, right?
We're going to think about it all day long. Look at that guy.
Brush it on there.
Okay. Sorry, Bad Out of Hell by Meatloaf has a question for us. It got lost in the chaos of the chat.
Bring it on.
Kyle emote faces. They said, my old question got lost in the comments. Oh, yeah, here we go again. Is there any way to save memory on a board when we do this process?
No.
Or just change the batteries?
Unfortunately, no. If you ever wanted to save your high scores and you did have like batteries and a RAM on your board still, you could change the batteries while the game is on. As long as you're very careful as you're removing the batteries and stuff like that. The batteries are just there to keep the RAM powered while the game is off. So, but doing this, you will lose all your settings, all your high scores, and it's your job to put them all back on the game. And thanks for joining us, man. Good to have you back.
And so, but you take the batteries out, this replaces the batteries, and then this now keeps your high scores for forever?
Yep.
Your new ones?
Yeah, because remember, it kind of like, it takes a picture of the last thing that happened when you turned the game off. So it remembers all that data until it turns back on.
Nice.
So what I'm going to do now is I am going to find the correct pad on the back of the board. I'm going to grab the little leg with my flush cutter here. And then I will extract it once it's hot. Again, this is very tedious and painstakingly slow. But I'm going to try to, unfortunately, humans only have two hands, so I kind of have to hold this up with my shoulder so I can see both sides. Sometimes you do have to be careful. Like if you were to heat this little leg on the back here, I need to tilt this camera up a bit.
Oh yeah, do that.
If you do heat up these legs, or if you heat them up on the back and you're not holding the leg on the front, they can kind of fall out or wiggle into a weird position. But on the other side, you do have to worry about keeping your flush cutters on the leg while you're trying to heat it up from the back. The flush cutters will kind of turn into a heat sink, and you really want to make sure that all the solder's melted and the leg is hot before you remove it, so we can really try to avoid losing the fillet. So again, this is something to practice before you do. I'm not too worried. I have my soldering iron turned up very hot, so I'm going to kind of let the flush cutters be a heat sink, and I'm going to safely yank it out. And we have extracted our first little leg.
Wow, it's like pulling out splinters.
Yeah, it's like pulling splinters from a circuit board.
So how many more of those do you have to do? 40?
23.
It's not too bad. We should have put a counter. And now we're about to get to 22.
Slowly, though. What I'm doing is, again, I'm trying not to force it at all. If you try to force, those fillets will rip out of the board real quick. That's the scariest bit, because you'll get to the point where you have this thing in, and you know, if you're not careful, or if you want to be like super careful and start checking for continuity between every leg, And then you get to that point where you check one and, oh man, I don't have anything. Then you got to start uninstalling things again, and I don't know.
Wow.
I've just learned to do this the slow and tedious way to ensure that you have the best outcome on the other side. It's easier to do the job once than it is to figure out how you did it wrong, right?
Yeah. MGM Studio said 23 and all fluxed up. Foosbar on Twitch asked, is there a reason you wouldn't just use the solder sucker versus the soldering iron?
Yeah, so again, I'm kind of doing it this way so we can keep it really, 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 really safe. I really also don't want to accidentally suck one of these legs into my solder sucker. If you've ever owned a solder sucker like this and you have a clog in the tube that extracts the solder, they can be nightmarish to clear. So this is the way, again, this is the slowest and most extreme way to do this job, but it will ensure the best outcome on the other side generally. I can't keep tooting my horn saying there'll be no problems because, everyone can make mistakes, but I'm trying to do this as headache-free as possible.
Oh, Black Cat Pinball 1, welcome back this week. They had a question. Have you done any board work on American pinball games, Kyle?
No. I've only actually ever worked on a couple of them. I've worked on an Oktoberfest. I did a warranty call on an Oktoberfest for American. And I've worked on a few Houdinis, but it was mostly replacing worn parts. I'm not familiar with their board system at all.
Yeah, he was asking, I'm going to a friend's tomorrow and trying to help him fix his Houdini, which won't start. Oof. Is it possible to work on those types of boards, or are they the change the whole board type?
I'm gonna just go out on a limb and say generally you'll probably be replacing boards depending on what tooling and skill level you have when it comes to soldering. Again, this is a 30-something-year-old board, right? This is ancient, and these things are used through-hole components. A lot of modern boards use what's called surface mount, and those things, they don't solder through the board like this. They're just attached on one side, and it requires a different skill set and different tools to be able to install and uninstall some of those chips. I don't know, though. I don't want to say anything wrong about American's board set because I'm not familiar. Depending on what's wrong, I mean, even Stern, right? They've got their surface mount and their amazing Spike 2 system, but even your drivers, like for your solenoids and stuff like that, those are still standard through-hole components. So I'm not sure how American did it, though. Uh-oh, did that one come out bad or good? Oh, that's good. Whew. Got scared there for a second. I like American pinball games. Houdini was always really fun to me.
Yes, I would love to play the Hot Wheels. From friends who have played it or have it.
Yeah, that looks super
really
cool.
Jam-packed.
All right, we're getting there. I liked Oktoberfest a lot. I think I'd like to revisit it once they've kind of got everything down 100% on that game where they're happy with the code and stuff.
Michael McKenna on Facebook said ECG makes a right angle desoldering tool for like $20.
There you go. Yeah, there's so many cool tools when it comes to soldering. I'm just kind of, I've always had really good luck with Hacko stuff. And I like I used to have a Hacko 808 desoldering gun, but it got stolen.
Oh, no.
But now I'm using the FR301, and it's a really good portable solution. I generally don't like doing board work on location. I prefer to do this kind of stuff at the shop. I don't like, either in an arcade or at a customer's house, but, sometimes I have to. So I like to have some good portable equipment that I understand. So that's kind of why I've always stuck with the Hacko stuff.
Nice. MPT3K said they had a Roland TR808.
Heck yeah.
And Lucid Ninja said, I love SMD work. It's not as scary as it seems. Kyle emoji.
Yeah, I've done it a few times, but I'd really like to learn how to do it with the correct tools and stuff too. I don't know if I'd ever invest in them because I'm not. I mean, I guess that's the thing, right? When solid state games came out, all the electromechanical guys were like, "What the heck? We're never gonna be able to fix this crap. You know, these things are gonna be broken. Blah blah blah." And then everyone learned how to do it, right? It's not that hard. And we're kind of going through the same thing with the surface mount stuff, right? How do you do that? I just got to learn a new skill.
What is your soldering gun story? Where how it got stolen?
I let someone use it at a pinball show, and it grew legs and walked off. And I don't blame that person. I don't believe whoever I loaned it to, it was their fault.
Misplaced.
It
You
just
made it sound like someone robbed you for your soldering.
Yeah, I got held up at gunpoint, and someone was like, "Yo, give me that solder sucker." It's like, oh man.
Need that solder sucker. Oh wow. Bad Out of Hell by Meatloaf said, fun fact about me, my left arm doesn't work really well, so I was pretty stoked when Oktoberfest introduced the one-handed play. I'm fairly skilled at playing one-handed, and it was fun to have the buttons on the same side. Oh yeah, that's right. They do the two buttons to switch the left and right.
Yeah, with the Stein mode or whatever. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I actually, back when I lived in the Bay Area, I had a customer who only had one arm. And he was really, really into pinball. And he's actually one of our customers. He buys stuff from us all the time. But he would bring in some of his games. When I would go and fix up some of his games and shop them out, I would drill a hole in the cabinet and install a second flipper button on the right side so he could play without using his device. That he has this really cool thing where he plays with like his middle finger or something, and then between his fourth finger and thumb he has a switch. And there's this little like solenoid actuated thing that uses RC batteries that he puts on the lockdown bar that actuates the other side flipper. If you've ever been to pinball shows in California, you've probably seen him playing that way.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think that's super neat.
Family games. I think Crystal Blue Continental just answered your question, but I'll still read it out. He said, I just opened my Marca order. How do I add the arrowhead link to the plunger using roll pin? Do I just squeeze the pin and press in? And Crystal said, a mallet works great.
Yeah, use a steel hammer or a steel mallet. You'll want to be gentle while you do it and not squish your fingers. But yeah, just be careful, hold the thing straight, and good luck. It's kind of hard, but it's not impossible.
MPT3K asked, how often do you have to replace your soldering tips?
My soldering what?
Tips. The tips.
It just depends on how much work I'm doing. My soldering iron that I carry in my toolbox is the one that gets the most use. It's super rough, but I mean once every year maybe. I guess now that I don't work on pinball all day, every day, like it's probably going to slow down a lot. But when it starts to look gross.
If you were working on pinball a lot, yeah, how often do you recommend someone replacing it?
Like once a year. I mean, when it starts to like get tarnished, right? It's not like something that needs to be replaced every X amount of hours. But you know, if you never turn your soldering iron above 550 degrees, you might not ever need to replace it. But I keep mine like 750, 800, and they start to tarnish pretty quick at that point. I mean, I change my tips all the time depending on that application I'm working on. Sometimes when I'm working on like video game boards or something like that, the traces are really close, and I like to use like a smaller chisel tip than what I'll use on pinball boards or for solder or lugs on like coils and stuff. So yeah, you know, I don't have a tarnished tip. I throw them away, but I wish I could show what a crummy soldering iron looked like.
There's a good etiquette for cleaning your tips after work too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I always tin the tip before I start soldering, so you add a teeny bit of solder to the tip and then start your work. But when you're done, most soldering stations will have like this gold foil medium or something in the stand, so you can kind of just brush all the old nasty solder off and clean it up. I don't like using water. That's why this thing is here. This wet sponge that does the same job, but I find that it destroys the tip of the soldering iron like really fast.
Oh, okay.
So that's just my opinion.
Nice. Yeah, everyone's like, keep it tinned. Tin that
So
tip.
I've removed all of the legs, and I've reapplied flux to all of the bits that I'm going to unsolder. So now, oops, I turned this off because it was really hot. We're going to warm that sucker up, and we are going to, what I'll do is I'll hold the board kind of like straight up and down. I'll apply here, make sure that it's sucked all the way through there, and then remove it. Sometimes you can just wait and watch for like a wisp of smoke to come out on the component side, and that's how you know the hole is clear.
Nice.
But let's see. I'm surprised.
If you hold the board straight up like that, can you tilt the camera up a little bit too? The table cam? Is it tilt more?
You can see my neck.
We'll look up your nose. Get any bats
You can
in
see
the
all my
cave?
boogers. Let's see.
Yeah.
Where I'm working up here, so I guess I can move
Okay.
it up a teeny bit more.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. This is awesome. I love table cam.
Yeah, I like it too. I wish that it was like a little bit better res, but whatever. Again, solder sucker. It's hot. It's got a hollow tube and a vacuum pump.
Hey, don't point that at us.
Yeah. Keep your finger off the trigger unless you're ready to fire. We're going to apply this to each hole and then suck, and we should have
23 more holes to go.
no, 27. We got to get those other two open too. The goal is to allow all the solder to heat up and then apply the vacuum. So you don't want to just go, because I guess some of the air being pulled in will cool the solder off. So we want to get it liquid and then suck it up. So that's why we kind of apply, wait, suck.
Apply, wait, suck.
That'll
Apply,
hopefully
wait,
get
suck.
good, clean results for us. I am holding my breath while I do this, but then I talked and now I'm out of air.
We can see you go like, ah. Where's your mask? And a fan, right? It's usually good to do this in a well-ventilated area.
Yes.
Best practices.
Yeah, having a fan is good.
Blue Continental said, sounds like a mad duck.
Huh. See. So smoky.
Oh, Family Games got the arrowhead. Now join to the plunger.
There you go.
Congratulations.
To get them out, you need special punches, like a roll pin punch. Those are handy to have. Nowadays, it's like not much more expensive just to buy a plunger and link assembled. So on location, I don't often like go and punch people's links out anymore. But that is beautiful.
Do you know about naphtha?
NASA, the National.
By Meatloaf says, speaking of ventilation and safety, how masked up protected do I need to be when cleaning with naphtha?
I mean, just don't do it in an enclosed room.
Using a dust mask and not breathing in directly. Is it?
Yeah, I think the safest way again is to just like do it in a well-ventilated area, right? It's like you think about the way you watch people paint cars, right? And those dudes have like crazy ventilator or respirator things. It's like those chemicals are like bad. So just avoid it at all costs. Get a fan and blow a fan away from you or outside towards you while you're working on it. I'm just very good at holding my breath now after doing this for so long. So. Okay, we're going to change the jumper last. I always change the jumper last because it's like a ceremonious thing. I don't know. I'm just weird. I've got some OCD and I like to do things in certain orders. What I will do here to ensure... Actually, let's look at the traces here, right? If we wanted to be like hella thorough, we could sit here and check each and every single one of these traces to make sure we didn't rip anything up, but I think that's going to make this even more boring to watch. So I'm not, but...
No, this isn't boring. This is really interesting stuff.
Where? Oh, I need to aim it up just a teeny. I'll just lift up the camera.
Oh yeah, I see where it's.
I don't know if you could see
juicy looking
anything through the back. I can't get it at the right angle. These are very clean. They came out very nice. The goal was to get in here and get out.
Oh, there it is. Oh, look. Wow, I can see through the holes.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's pretty good. But now you see all those little teeny, eeny, weeny traces?
Yeah.
Those things are super, super, super delicate.
Wow.
And if we, now, so think about it, right? If we didn't do this really thorough and pull those legs out gently, it wouldn't take much force to rip that pad and destroy that trace, right? So that's why I did this like real slow and steady.
It looks beautiful.
I like circuit boards. I think it's because I'm a huge weirdo, but they're really pretty. So we've got a socket. This right here is called a machine pin socket. I forget what the other kind of socket is called. A something in leaf, or I don't know. Anyways, this thing has little round holes in these like solid pegs that go through the circuit board. The other kind of socket, and I think they're the sockets that we sell, they're not inferior, they're just a little less expensive. But the legs are more flat, like a chip.
Oh, okay.
I just like these machine pin sockets, so that's what I'm using. I think I will. We don't have any lacquer thinner. I just feel guilty, but we're just going to kind of dab this up a little bit with a paper towel and get it as best we can. Flux is really, really sticky, so using something like flux remover or lacquer thinner does a good job of cutting the sticky nastiness down. Generally, I'll have like 2 toothbrushes on my soldering station, like one to do flux and one to do flux removing. But yeah, there we go. Okay, so another thing to notice about chips is they've got a notch, right? Do we see that notch at the top of this chip?
Maybe if you put your hand right behind it, it'll focus it better. Oh, wow, that actually worked.
Maybe if I go in front of the other camera.
No, that was awesome. It was working.
No, it was? Okay. Well, maybe you can see it on the board, too. You notice how, at least on, now this isn't rule of thumb.
Dark Fiber said alcohol also works to get off that sticky.
Oh, yeah, we've got like straight alcohol hand sanitizer here. 75%. You could almost drink it. Ew. Don't do that. Thank you.
Midge and Elusive Ninja are making jokes.
Making jokes at my expense, I hope.
No, but using your emoji for sure.
Oh my gosh. That's the most horrifying thing.
Blue Continental asked, did you talk about the games that are already socketed for NVRAM?
Yeah, most Data East and Stern games, and then like the first couple, or Sega games, I'm sorry, and the first couple Stern games that still use the white star board set. So games like Austin Powers and South Park and all that stuff. I don't remember when they made the switch to the SAM board set. Okay, so back to the notches, right? Okay, so if we look at every single chip on this board, oh hey, let me just go up to this camera since it's the big one. You see how every single chip has the notch facing the same direction?
What are we looking at? Oh, okay, yes.
Can we see some of these chips?
Yes.
So, as a rule of thumb, generally boards have all the chips face in the same direction. So it is very important when installing the chip to make sure you have the notch in the correct orientation. Like I was saying, we were talking about...
Wait, I was looking at something else. And so the notch on the actual black part of the chip are all facing down?
Well, they're all facing one direction. It doesn't matter what direction, right? Like orientation, but they're on this board, like the way I'm looking at it, they're all facing right. And you can even see that in the silk screen. Go to the desk cam. You can see again, I want to point this out because I've had customers call that have put things in backwards before. You see the notch that's even shown on the silk screen? It says
yeah, it's like a little curve.
Yeah, hey, this end up, right? So again, that's very important because generally on these TTL chips, pin 1.
I see the notch. Yeah.
And I believe pin 1 is the pin that is to the left of the notch. That's 5 volts, right? So if we put this thing in backwards, we'd be sending 5 volts to something that shouldn't be getting 5 volts. You need to make sure these go in the right direction. There's no backwards. Well, there is backwards, and it's bad. The socket I have also has a notch.
Yeah.
So we're going to install that this way. Lovely.
Mind your notches. Mind your notches.
Mind your notch. We got that big long road here in the middle of South Carolina called Two Notch Road.
Yeah.
Must be where they make integrated circuits, right, Steve? Yeah, 2 of them. So what I like to do when I'm getting this socket in right, because like if we're going to turn this thing over to work on it, the socket is going to kind of fall out. But what we want to do is avoid the socket falling out, and we also want to make sure that we install the socket flat and flush with the board. Like, you'll just lose points if one end is kind of further up than the other, but we want to make sure that it looks like we never did anything here. That's the goal. So what I'm going to do here is we're just going to kind of solder one pin in and maybe another pin on the other side, make sure it's flat, and then go to town. Very many times I have just gone to town and then found the socket was sitting at an unpleasant angle. So
that's a really good tip.
Sockets get hot, so be careful. I'm probably going to solder it in like this, but I'll solder in like one of these things away from my finger. But if you apply heat to one of those pins on the back, it will come right back up to your fingers. So be careful. What I'm going to do, since I want to make sure that I'm holding the socket in place too, is I'm going to get, let me change the angle of this a teeny bit. What I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to tin the tip. Actually, you know what? Nope, I forgot a step because I'm talking too much. You can never use too much flux. I am going to brush flux all over these legs to ensure that the solder mates here, travels all the way through to the top, and then makes contact with those traces which are above the board for the most part on this chip. So keep your fingers away because it's nasty.
You're missing all these awesome puns in the chat today. Everyone's on a roll.
I'm doing puns or they're doing puns?
They're doing puns. MPT3K said, oh, when your notches are all good, that's called buenos notches.
Wow.
I just realized Mystery Pinball Theater 3000, you guys need to stop everything you're doing and watch his stream, watch their stream. That was the most entertaining stream. I tuned in, I think, last weekend, and I wanted to play it today, but I didn't have time. I clipped Manu, the host. He did a freestyle about ordering parts from Marco Pinball. It was amazing.
Wow, that's badass. I'll have to check that out too.
Yeah, they have a really entertaining show. We were like, he was playing Star Trek Pinball, and then, yeah, you would have loved this, Kyle. And then they're like, oh, we're going to go watch an episode of Star Trek. And then they walk into like this theater, and then just, we all just watched part of an episode of Star Trek and, you know, laughed about it, and then went back and started playing more pinball. It was like, this is awesome.
That sounds great. See, that's exactly what I want to do on my weekend, just play pinball and watch Star Trek. That's kind of what I try to do anyways.
It was so perfect.
But doing it with friends. Right. What I'm going to do here real quick with this, where is the, it's kind of hard to see, but I kind of need to see this more than you guys do. You just need to appreciate the final result. I'm holding the socket in and against the board with my left hand. I am going to tin the tip of this iron just a teeny bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply a little bit of solder just to hold it in place. That's not a good joint, right? I'm not going to leave that. But what it's going to do is just keep the socket in for me. So I'm going to do opposite corners. And now I don't need to worry about the thing falling out.
Nice.
We're going to go over here, and we are going to double check and make sure it's sitting nice and flat, because it needs to be aesthetically pleasing or I will freak out. Cool.
Details matter. Nice.
I'm going to pull a bunch of solder off here. Ooh. I'm going to use the solder to prop the board up so I can sit away from it and hopefully get a better view with the camera. Maybe something like, oh, get out of here, dirty towel.
Just as a side question, or a few, how often to replace batteries on the board if you did keep batteries in?
It depends on how good your memory is. I like to change them like once a year, just because, you know, I'll change them once a year so they don't ruin my pinball game, and then I'll put them in like my Xbox controller or something. They're still good. It doesn't really use a lot of battery power, which is why you'll have games that have 20-year-old batteries that still retain their information. But it's better to have them not ruin your expensive computer. So.
Nice. Do we sell flux?
I don't know.
Asked if we sell flux.
I don't think so. If I ever got the go-ahead to revamp some of our tools, I'd probably include some of that stuff in there. We could go and add some
We do have some basic soldering tools.
Yeah, we do. We actually have a pretty cool soldering station we just got in stock that has a solder sucker and a soldering iron in one unit. Again, this is bench mount. It's not portable whatsoever, but it's actually a pretty good unit. I have it at my desk at work, and I use it when I need to solder. And it's pretty cool. It works out okay. I'd like to get some better quality solder, maybe some thinner solder. The solder that we sell is a little thick for doing this kind of stuff. And some flux would be great.
And before you get into it, we just have a lot of questions for you, Kyle. I'm sorry.
No, I love it.
So another question is, so will solder always flow along the flux that you apply it to?
Solder will flow to something that is hot, shiny, and has flux on it. Right? So if you ever tried to solder something with battery corrosion on it, it's just not going to do it. It's not going to work. It needs to be free of impurities, which corrosion is on a metal surface, right? So yeah, hot, shiny, and has flux on it, solder will follow that path.
The UK Pinball Club just said, so don't solder near a magpie's nest.
That's a very British sounding joke. We don't have magpies here, but man, do we have magpies? No, that's
I don't know.
Is it the same thing though?
What is it?
Yeah, they steal jewelry. They're big, smart, mean birds.
We do have magpies, Midge?
I don't know if we actually have magpies. It's basically a crow, but they're very smart, big birds.
We Bake for Nobody asked, can you change the battery somehow without losing the settings? You do
Yes.
Change the batteries with the game on, right?
Yep, but just be careful because you can short things out. So do it very, very carefully.
How do you be careful when changing batteries?
Don't go throwing stuff or slipping and dropping batteries on electronics and stuff like that.
Okay.
Just be mindful.
Fair enough. And where's the best place to buy supplies for solder?
Home
Depot?
No, absolutely not. Don't buy any hot soldering stuff from a store like that.
Oh, wait.
I mean, like I said, we actually do have a pretty decent, inexpensive soldering iron on the website that is not portable. Then we have that big soldering set. I buy a lot of my soldering stuff from Kimco. They actually have the best deals on solder, the solder that I like to use, which again, I'm buying like 1 pound spools of solder. And you'll go on Amazon and look for some Kestrel solder, and it's like $30 a pound. And on Kimco, I think they're like 19 bucks a pound or something like that. I think this might be the good reason for us to maybe bring some of this stuff online. I'm using it here on the show. Maybe we should get some more specific tools on the website. It seems like there might be a demand for it, because then I don't have to say to go to Kimco. I can say get on marcospecialties.com.
Oh, Elusive Ninja said Radio Shack.
Oh, don't make me cry.
He did it because he knew it would make you cry.
We used to have a store. I mean, I guess it's not just a Bay Area thing, but it's called Fry's Electronics. They're great. That's where I bought a lot of soldering equipment.
Nice.
What I'm doing is I'm trying to emulate, right? We're trying to make this look as factory as possible. So I am using like very, very little solder because you don't need much. We're trying to make like teeny little mountains around the pins sticking through the board. And hopefully they'll look good when I'm done. I'm realizing now that I'm old, my eyes get worse a lot faster than they used to, and I just can't see anything anymore.
Oh, yeah, you need the little magnifying glass.
Oh, my glasses are like 6 years old. It's just time to get new ones.
UK Pinball Club said, loving the TNA.
Yeah, me too.
Isn't it beautiful? We like having it in the background with the Xenon and the Mars Trek and Kings of Steel. I mean, Kyle has an awesome collection of games. We're lucky to have him in our studio for our backdrop and to play.
I miss having TNA at home. We haven't streamed TNA. Like, I keep like using TNA as like our climax of streaming. It's going to be like we're going to play all these like weird games, and then one day we're just going to play TNA, and it's going to be real underwhelming because I'm bad at pinball. What?
Right. You needed to still update to the new code.
Yeah, and I have to fix the sound issue I'm having. I have all the parts. I'm just lazy, and I'm working on customers' games more than my own.
You're not lazy.
Thanks
for joining us.
Let me use the big camera because it'll probably focus better.
Cool.
So I soldered everything on this side, and maybe you guys can judge my tiny little mountains if they look uniform.
You would never notice if it didn't have all that stuff. I was going to use a different word, but
yeah, I don't know. It looked pretty good to me. I mean, the ultimate test is plugging the thing in, right? If it doesn't work when we plug it in, well, then I failed. But I'm pretty confident that I won't need to sit and test continuity. So,
Family Games, you keep asking this question. I keep avoiding it. We don't know. Probably not. Houston Arcade Expo just announced that they are going to have their show in November. We have not determined what type of, if any, presents we will have there. We'll have to
my
see.
favorite show of the year.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Last year, Scott Denisi was DJing. Everyone was dancing with lightsabers. There was lightsaber battles, and oh man.
And that super cool cover band from Georgia was there, and they had the dude from the band When in Rome, the singer, come out and play The Promise with them. And that was like the coolest thing I never thought I'd experience at a pinball show.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
And the founder, Keith Christensen, his band plays, and he's like such a rock star, man.
Keith is awesome.
Amazing.
I've been
so amazing on stage, like his stage performance, and oh wow.
For a couple months on Facebook, like at the beginning of when everyone was staying at home, he was doing like some super cool like remote jam sessions with dudes he plays music with, and they were so much fun to watch. He had all these like trippy, like psychedelic Zoom backgrounds. It was so rad.
That's awesome.
Keith is awesome.
Definitely.
And I get to drink as many Shiner boxes as I want when I'm in Houston.
Oh, Elusive Ninja wanted me to remind you that you still need to add the air horn to TNA. And that must be the sound issue you're having.
Oh, probably. Yeah, I'll just wire it up to like a... ooh, that one's ugly. I'll just wire it up to a the knocker drive or something.
Oh, man. Family Games got me too'd at Houston last year. He was playing Cactus Canyon at 3 a.m. and an older woman grabbed his rear.
Heck yeah. That's what you come for, right? I don't know.
Everyone has a lot of fun at that show, let's just say.
I remember when the security guard was really mad at me for carrying my beer, but not mad at everyone else for carrying their beers. So then I walked outside, around the corner, knocked on the back door, and I just walked back to the booth. That was great.
Remember you got that little like bolo tie with your
whiskey? We got that Texas whiskey that had the bolo tie. I put it on my cat, and Ludwig really liked it. I love that bolo tie. I'm going to wear it next week on stream. If I remember, but I probably won't. I'll probably forget in 10 minutes. Let's see. I'm going to use this hand sanitizer to clean this flux up. Actually, no, I'm not, because we still need to ceremoniously remove the jumper.
And what is it that makes you want to wait to do that last?
Because I have weird OCD.
No, but I know. But like, what's the explanation for it? Like, what is your reasoning?
That is my reasoning. I do it last because I have OCD, and it's like the last thing I do, and it makes me feel like I've completed something. Let's see. Sorry, that's a letdown of an answer, but it's the truth.
I mean, like, what is your, if you had to explain it in a technical sense of why it should be put in last?
Because if you do it first, maybe you'll forget that you've done it and you'll get confused, or if you take it out and you don't remember what position it needs to go to. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's great. That's
but
important.
I like to just give you the honest answer. I don't hide nothing. Just gotta wait for my solder sucker to warm up. I keep turning it off, sorry. But yeah, no, I mean, everything else on this computer looks okay. We don't have a lot of cracks. We don't have any cracked solder joints. These computers really don't suffer from cracked solder like a lot of other boards do. The other thing, I guess, actually the real last thing we're gonna do is cut the battery holder off. So we get to ceremoniously remove the double A's.
In the trash. Forever. Oh, hello, Permonson. Welcome to class.
Yeah, welcome.
Oh, just a reminder, if anyone's looking for it. Well, Midge, the code is live, right? The free shipping 99 code? Okay. So
it is live.
If you guys are stocking up your cart, don't forget, free shipping for orders over $99. Use the code RAMTRON. It's only good from today until tomorrow at 3. So
yeah, just in case you didn't buy anything over Labor Day, here's your last chance to get things like right after Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
So when they install this jumper, they, what camera are we on? If this is the board, right? They install the jumper and then they bend the leads over. So what I want to do is we're going to kind of do something similar where I'm going to heat it from the back side and try to pull it out of the hole without damaging the fillet. So I'm going to move this camera to give myself a little room. I guess that's, I personally used to do this all the time. If I'm stuffing a board, I'll like put the component in and kind of bend it over. But that does make it a lot more difficult to remove if you ever have to go remove the component again. So be careful. Since their holes are all so close to each other too, I have to double check I'm gonna put the iron on the right spot. So who's bored yet? Everyone was asking for this for so long, and now you've watched me do it.
No, this is really interesting.
I just pulled the fillet.
Oh, God.
No, that's fine, because I don't need that fillet, but I want to show an example of what that looks like. I should have used more heat, and I should have put...
We want to see you do it first.
Flux on the top side. This is super small, and we're probably not going to be able to see it. So, right here.
How do you lose an entire left ramp assembly of a private pin mod? Anyways.
Yeah, that's screwed. I'm sorry, man. That's a bummer. I'll take pictures of the one in my game so you can start looking. Oh, sorry. It's right here. Do you see how that thing's poking up above the circuit board just a teeny bit?
Yeah.
That's the fillet that's being pulled through the hole. So we want to avoid that. We can salvage it by, what I'll do is I'll put the iron on this side and push the fillet back in. But at the same time, that fillet is never going to be used again because that jumper will never be installed in that position again. But I'm not sloppy. I am a professional. I'll do it the professional way. I'm just going to apply
remove it.
Some heat and try to shove it back where it belongs.
Oh, okay. You're going to put it back in. Got it. Let's see if we can get another view.
Yeah, so what that tells me is I should put a teeny bit of flux on this side too. Now, okay, here's the other thing. The only reason I'm doing this is because I forgot my 0-ohm jumpers at my desk. I had new ones and I was just going to install a new one. You could use a piece of wire, you could use a lot of things, but I'm going to try to reuse this because I forgot the one at my desk, like a dumbass. So, my apologies. And it is kind of funny to say, but it is a 1 ohm, or is a 0-ohm resistor, which is kind of an oxymoron, I guess. It has no ohms. I guess that makes sense, kind of, right? No?
Yeah. Oh. Mitchell Reader, welcome to class.
Yeah, did you leave class to come to class? You're playing hooky?
Mr. Reader left us to go work on pinball machines.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair.
No, that's what his kids were saying.
No.
I would love, I'll go to a top view. But when you get a chance, if you can readjust table cam, tilt you up.
Yeah, I'll try to. This fillet's actually being grumpy, but I'm really going to try my hardest to not rip it out because this is so close to a perfect job that it'll hurt my feelings.
Oh, wait. Mitchell Reader didn't want us to write him out. He's on a conference call.
Okay, well, that wasn't very elegant, but it worked. And what this jumper does, again, is this jumper changes the way that the RAM is addressed since we are using a different size RAM. I'm going to leave the iron on a lot longer here, and I'm going to try to bend it before yanking it out. Ow, that hurts. Really hot. So now I'm going to use a tool and try to not hurt myself this time. There we go. Aha! I did it.
Wow.
And this time
Talk
the fillet
about
didn't come out.
surgery.
Anyways, yeah, it's like playing operations sometimes. So now we have to change this. We're gonna put this teeny little. Want to put that the desk cam back on? I'll readjust it.
Yes.
We're gonna put this little teeny 0-ohm resistor or a jumper, and we are going to insert it in this position here that says W6 instead of W5. I don't think this camera will pick it up, but I can see it.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for subscribing, Dark Fiber. You now have access to all the Kyle emoji faces. That's Kyle saying thank you. His emoji.
That's me saying my face is on the internet now. Freaky, but awesome. Let's see. The only problem with you reusing components like this, and it's like you can reuse diodes and stuff. You can reuse resistors that test out right, but they don't cost anything. They're so inexpensive. Just put new ones in so you don't. This part costs like cents, and I'm sitting here spending 10 minutes trying to get it out when I could have just snipped it and then installed a new one and been done with it. But
so you pulled it out to put it back in?
yeah, just to put it in a different set of holes, and I finally got it. But again, it's such an inexpensive part. Just buy a new one. Don't do what I'm doing. I just did it because I forgot it at work. And yes, we are not actually at Marco. We're at the our satellite office, so I can't just run to the back.
A few questions for you, Kyle.
Yeah.
From Indie Pins, how did you determine that the jumper needed to be changed? Was it in some type of instructions? What's your...
No, it's just that's what you need to do for this install. The engineers of the board designed this board to be able to be used with 2 different sizes of RAM. Sometimes things become scarce and they need to change the component they're using. So a lot of these things are engineered into this. You can get 6116 NVRAMs, and then you wouldn't have to change a jumper at all. But I have a lot of 6264 NVRAMs, so since this board is compatible, that's what I use.
Nice. And Family Games asked, should electrolytic capacitors on a board like that be replaced while you have it out?
Nah. these guys really don't do anything. And if they do something, okay, let me give the long answer, but let me formulate it.
What are the electrolytic capacitors? Can you point them out for me? Okay.
There's a couple of them on this board. I mean, some of them maybe, but the thing is like they don't have this year, like at this time, right, like 30 years into the lifespan of these boards, they don't have a bad track record. Whereas the, like the filter capacitor, which is a big electrolytic capacitor on the old Bally solenoid driver boards, they have a very bad track record of going bad. Is that because of the circuit it's in? Maybe. Is that because Bally used like lowest bidder, really crappy capacitors? Maybe. But I don't create or make extra work for myself if I don't have to. If those things were bulging and really bad, then yeah, I'll go in and change them out, but I've never ever seen one like that, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, and in the chat, a lot of people are saying if they're bulging, then that's a telltale sign too.
Yeah, so do you remember back to like when we were doing the power supply that day where I talked for like 2 hours straight and didn't let you get a word in?
That wasn't a very advanced class, too.
We were talking about capacitors a bit there, but I think a lot of people fell asleep by the time we maybe got to that part, so sorry.
We weren't falling asleep. Our eyes were just like crossing, being like, whoa. Mine were. I'm sure a lot of people in the chat were like, oh, yeah, easy peasy.
All right, this is cool. It's pretty good now. I put the jumper in. I'm crossing my fingers and really hoping that everything's going to be okay and we have no torn traces or anything. I am going to install this chip.
So now you can just snap it in because you attached the holder to it first.
Exactly.
Right?
And we can easily change it out if this ever needs to be changed again. When installing a chip, like be very careful and triple, quadruple, double, multiply that and make sure all the legs are in the holes before you actually put it into the socket.
Nice. Yay, Roller Pinball's back and now he's ready to do this NVRAM install on their roller games.
All right. Hopefully this is sort of helpful. Again, it's all about in having the right tools, patience, and just a little experience. We're going to ceremoniously remove this battery holder now by
Yay, clip it.
Snip, snip, snip.
Oh.
These ones aren't as satisfying as the Data East ones, which you can just twist and then like throw away. But yeah, there we go. Actually, I have a good battery holder from our Monday Night Football that has like some of the grossest batteries I've ever seen.
He left us.
So we have a Monday Night Football in here that's in like insanely nice condition. And I went into the back box to see if the batteries were still in there. And they were. And look how gross they are. I've never seen batteries like really rupture this bad, but still not drip down onto the computer. The computer
What year are they?
Not 1 ounce of corrosion on it. Surprisingly, it says they expired in 2014 to 2018, which is weird because sometimes you'll see, I've seen like Williams games that have the factory batteries in them and they haven't leaked yet. I don't understand batteries. It's weird. Speaking of which, I do need to remind myself to take the NASCAR we have that's still in the box out of it to make sure that the batteries don't look like that.
Oh
so,
my gosh, yeah, that would be terrible.
I want to throw this, but it's just going to make dust. So I'm going to actually
let's not do that.
Gently set it down.
Black Cat Pinball 1 says, that's why you use lithium batteries.
Yep. Lithium batteries do not do that.
External holder. Great addition to that family games. The external holder, we did that on another episode. Oh gosh. What game was that on?
We did it on the Bride of Pinbot.
Really?
Yeah. Someone keeps roasting me for just the right reason when I dropped the drill bit and I couldn't find it forever. You weren't there that day.
I remember I was tuned in at that point and I was like, oh God.
I'm removing the stubs of the battery holder because, again, I have OCD, and it looks way better when the little stubs aren't there. And I've still got a hot soldering iron, so why not?
Yep. You
But yeah.
go from lithium to upgrade to an external holder, and then to upgrade to NVRAM. That's
Yeah.
the pathway.
And again, like some games, right, like you'd be silly to not install an NVRAM into your Data East or Sega Stern game because it's literally plug and play. But again, like, you know, on my Twilight Zone, right, I just have batteries. I'm not going to change that because I'll lose the functionality of the game. And to me, it's not even worth it to switch it to a lithium because I just remember to change the batteries every once in a while. All right, that's pretty sweet looking. Now, it don't matter how good it looks. How does it run? We'll have to find out.
Let's find out. Roller Pinball said, haha, drill bit is me. Never gets old. That was a good episode. If you guys are interested, if you're not, I think everyone in the chat knows this, but if you are, you don't know how to do a separate battery install, then check our archives on YouTube for the Bride of Pinbot where we took out the batteries. I think it's labeled something about.
And maybe next time I get a WPC game in the shop that does not need, or that I can do external batteries in, I'll do it like the quick and dirty way. The way we did it before was like we removed the computer and soldered it in all nice, but you can actually, again, you can snip, get the batteries out, put the wire in, pull the soldering iron on the front side, and you can do it without even removing the computer. So
nice, the quick fix.
The dirty way. All right. These are never fun to put in because they don't have like the little slots. So you have to like hang it and make sure you're not pinching wires. And let me turn this light on. Hold on, y'all.
Awesome.
I forgot that we were going to have to move at least once today.
Yeah, Johnny Demonic. What's up, dude? He said that if you lose something, just turn the pinball machine upside down and shake it.
Oh yeah, dude. When I used to work for the dude the guy I used to work for, whenever we dropped something underneath the bottom board of an EM, he would tell me, "Hey, don't do that," and then we would pick it up and just shake the game, bring it on its side so we could get the stuff out.
Do that.
Just don't do that. I mean, okay, you're not wrong, but. All right.
Yes, we love roller games. Oh, upside down pinball emote. Okay, you got me. I'll add it. I like it. Bent screwdriver, upside down pinball.
What was the one that I messaged you today while you were sleeping? Didn't I have a good idea for an emote the other day?
I think that was yesterday.
What? Yeah. Oh, we need Tiger Saw.
Tiger Saw?
Tiger Saw.
I don't get it.
Dude, that's the best part of Theater of Magic. It's a Tiger Saw. It's like, what?
Yesterday.
What the heck's a Tiger Saw, man? Who knows?
What is a Tiger Saw?
No one knows. What is the Tiger Saw? So this is the watch Kyle struggle with a tight wiring harness.
That like gun saw that's like.
No, man, it's a Tiger Saw. Half tiger, half. It's everyone's dream come true. I miss Theater of Magic. All right, I found it.
UK Pinball Club said, "Is that a camera rig out of aluminum extrusion? If so, what thickness?" Are you talking about the C stand that's holding the light up above the pinball machine?
That's it's fancy filming equipment.
It's just a C stand. You just like the letter C dash stand. You can buy it off of B&H Photo or Amazon. Yeah, it's a camera equipment tool. It has a articulating arm that you can attach to it. Very heavy duty. And heavy.
Yeah, it's super awesome.
I'm not sure what the thickness is. It's just standard C stand, 55-inch.
So what I was doing here is I made sure that none of these wires were, or the headers were like stuck behind the board, 'cause that's annoying. And I'm only going to put like 3 screws in this thing, just in case it doesn't work, then I don't have to take them all back out. I'm pretty confident it's going to work, but I'm going to try to not create more work for myself. Expect the best, accept the worst. That's my mantra.
I like it. UK Pinball Club, yes, they are very robust. They are very heavy. You can get some that detach. They're usually like
do a C-stand show.
6 foot, 7 foot. But
super cool.
You can get some like the bottom. You see the bottom little tripod. You can unscrew it and remove it. So it will remove in a couple different pieces. So it's easier to pack. They're very heavy. The legs are built so you can put some sandbags or weight on them in case so your lights don't fall over on you. Look at him go.
I feel like I'm a daytime TV like QVC model.
Look, it's something I can actually talk about. You want to talk about camera equipment? Send me a message. MarcoTV@MarcoPinball.com. I'll talk your ear off. When it comes to pinball, this cow show, and we're learning a lot.
Yeah, something like that. I'm just gonna hook up. Ground. I don't remember what this is. Power, and we'll hook up the displays, and we'll just see if the game comes to life. We just need one indication that the game's working, and I choose the display, or make sure the program's running. That's the most important bit. I think this went in like this because it's all stiff in that direction. But just checking, this ribbon cable is like super long. I just found it in my box because it was missing the correct one. It's way too long and has too many pins, so that's why it looks all goofy. I have to plug the game in. Sometimes when you're working on a game that you have no idea what's going to happen, I like to keep the solenoids unplugged so you don't have one that gets locked on and then burns up while you're trying to troubleshoot your game or whatever.
How do you do that?
Just unplug them. Ooh, okay, so we'll power it up. U25 RAM failure. Uh-oh. So here's the thing. There are bad Ramtrons out there. And what I'm going to guess is this one could be bad. So what I want to do is I want to swap another Ramtron into this thing and see if I just so happen to get a bummer one.
And that'll be easy because you installed a holder. So all you have to do is pop it off.
It is socketed now.
That's awesome. I was thinking you had to go back and resolder everything. And
well, so here's the thing, right? Is if this isn't perfect, I'm going to go double check my work, and I am going to sit there and do a continuity test. That's right. It's like even if you do this as like careful and tedious as possible, like I did, you can still make mistakes. Or things can still go wrong. It's an old piece of equipment. Let's try a different Ramtron. I've got like a billion of these things, so let's install this guy and see what happens.
The suspense is killing us. I should have queued up music. Suspense.
No, you're just going to make me more nervous now that I screwed up.
Oh, but you wouldn't hear it.
Oh, good. Okay, well, fine.
I don't think I have any music. Oh, I have the Bride of Pinball laugh.
What about Tiger Saw?
No.
Hold on, I didn't get these chip legs lined up right.
Yeah, sad trombone.
Womp wow. But again, this is why this is like the most advanced way you can do this kind of stuff. Because now, if you do this, now it's your job to figure out why it's not working. I'm not confident I got that thing in just right.
Johnny Demonic said, "You are a god. It must be hardware failure."
That's what I'm hoping for, because I'm going to try the easiest thing first before we take this thing out and start sticking the multimeter in every single pin on this guy. But it's not, I mean, it's not uncommon to get a bad Ramtron. It has happened to me many times in the past. So I want to at least try one or two more.
I deleted my ragtime music.
There we go.
Sorry.
It was just a bad chip. So it says adjustment failure, which is what happens when the game loses its, whatchamacallits, its data. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to program something in it really quick. We'll leave the game on for a minute so the Ramtron can charge. We'll turn it off. I'll plug everything back in, and we'll like make sure everything's cool. Can you see the front of the game on this camera? Oh. I mean, I don't want to show. This game was missing the coin door.
Zoom in on the DMD, I mean on the display.
Yeah, we could. This thing is missing a coin door. I had a new old stocks coin door skin for this game.
Spelled adjustment wrong.
Well, they don't have enough letters. You got to make some sacrifices.
Take the D out. Okay.
So let's see. We're gonna. Someone should be giving me a new coin door, but if anybody has a coin controls 80s Williams coin door that's in good shape, I'll buy it from you. Wait, free play is like 16, right?
Let us know in the chat. Kyle's looking to purchase it.
Oh, it's 23.
We're almost there.
Free
What?
play. Oh, the only switches I have connected are the dedicated switches. I don't have the whatchamacallit, the cabinet switches or anything plugged in.
That's crazy that camera took so long to autofocus. That's weird. He's having a lazy day.
Replay. Yes. Okay.
Replay.
We'll just keep it on free play. We'll get it out of test so it registers that information.
Kyle, you totally staged this. This is why you use the socket in case this happens.
Hey, well, I mean, that's the thing, right? If you screwed it up, then you have to do all the work over again. So spend like 25 cents and put a socket in, and it's easy.
Nice.
Hollywood magic, right? You keep telling me as my manager. No. All right, we'll put that in, hook up all of our lamps. I'll finish making sure the board is all the way tightened down. Don't forget to do that because I think I've mentioned this many times. The mounting screws for the circuit board are also grounds. So make sure that it has all the ground it could ever need. Has anyone said, oh yeah, Kyle, I've got 1,000 coin doors and they're all perfect and I'll sell them to you for $5?
No, the coin door got Frontier crickets, but We Wait for Nobody says, nice shirt.
Hey, thanks. I like, this is my favorite Marco shirt.
Which Marco shirt? Is that the centigrade
Yeah.
one? Nice. We should do a trivia in our Q&A coming up.
Actually, hey, while I'm doing this boring stuff, did anybody upload photos to Jay at IPDB?
Oh, yeah. Who did their homework? I will give you a centigrade. We will give you a centigrade shirt. Right now, if you send me a link showing that you submit it to ipdb.org and help update. Oh, Bad Out of Hell by Meatloaf said he did submit.
Oh, yeah. My man.
Uploaded all the shop pictures from Rocky and Bullwinkle. No.
Oh, that's excellent.
That's
Dude,
a great one to do.
you're the best. I will. I'll send you a shirt.
They didn't get uploaded.
Well, okay. Once they get uploaded.
Submit it. Once you submitted it and then it takes time.
Yeah, the caretakers at IPDB go through and
Oh, sure.
accept.
I wish it was auto. That's sad, but I guess it makes
Well,
sense.
they want to make sure that the photos are good.
You got a coin door. You can buy your Data East coin door right there at Marco Pinball. It's $119. It's in stock, and you can use the free shipping code, Kyle.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have this coin door, man. I need this 80s coin controls coin door. Even if, actually, you know what? Even if it's crap, because I've got this new old stock skin, I just need all the guts on the inside. So if you just have like a scrapped coin controls door, I might be interested in it. And if TJ, if you're watching, I'm not upset. I know you're busy, so.
Pin Daddy and Bat Out of Hell, if you guys send me an email to marcotv@marcopinball.com, let me know what you submitted. Maybe send me the photos too, verification, and your full name and address, and I'll send you guys some cool stuff.
Yeah, I need to work on doing that too.
Pinball
Every single
History
one of my
Archive.
games needs to have pictures uploaded.
That's awesome. Thanks.
And
for
it all came
doing
to life. Yay.
Woo.
So we did it. Except for the GI in the back is out. Oh, because I took that burnt up
And
nasty
it's
relay out.
saved. Nice.
Right?
So now you never have to worry about batteries on your roller games again.
Never ever. Ta-da.
Just a shame it's a roller games.
Oh, ban that guy. Out of here.
We love roller games.
Rollergames is the best pinball
Rock,
game of
rock,
all
rock
time.
and roller. We Bake for Nobody. We're gonna do this homework for next week too, because it's fun.
Yeah, I'll reward
need to
anybody who
submit
helps them out.
Photos, updated photos to the Internet Pinball Database. That's ipdb.org. And we all use this website. Surely everyone in the chat has used this website at some point. And we're just, why not make it fun? And the games that we have, let's take fresh photos with our iPhones and Androids, high pixelized.
And not your 2 megapixel
quality.
Canon point and shoots
Yeah,
from.
one of them are like really old photos. So, let's just help out everyone in the community and use the games we have to update their database a little. And if you do that and send me proof that you did, then we'll send you some swag. And that's your homework.
The pictures that are super helpful on IPDB and stuff are things that are like close-ups of mechanisms and stuff. I mean, playfield pictures are great, but like really good pictures of the underside, well-lit underside of the playfield pictures are super helpful. I mean, I use that website every day when I'm trying to verify if, is this in this game? What does this look like in this game? It's amazing. So that was good. Hopefully someone learned something. It's a fun process. I mean, I guess that's fun if you're weird and sadistic like I am, but it saves the game. We don't have to worry about batteries anymore.
Oh,
Oh, what?
Pin Daddy said he sent the email this morning. I didn't get it. Maybe resend it. And maybe CC Emoto at marcopinball.com, just in case. That's weird I didn't get it. But so anyways, we're in the last bit of our show. Thank you, Kyle, for doing this install for us. It's not boring. It's very informative. We'll save
Thanks for joining me.
Pinball lives. And so let's just do a quick little 10-minute Q&A if anyone has any questions about your games, this game, Kyle's hairdo. Now's the time.
It's crazy.
And then
It's
I'm
like
gonna go ahead and drop in that free shipping code again.
I've never had hair this long. It's so awkward because it's all like growing out like a triangle. Everyone says I look like Doc Brown from Back to the Future. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd actually is a very handsome person. If I'm half as handsome as that dude is when he was Doc Brown, I'm set. But I don't think that's going to happen. I'm on the wrong trajectory.
Young Doc Brown. Yep, sure is. Oh, Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf in all caps. Hot tip. Harbor Freight has the cheapest deals on off-brand Pelican cases. Man, you sound like my brother. He literally just bought so many Pelican cases.
Oh, that's rad. I'm going to go check it out. This isn't a Pelican case. This is a B&W International, but I've always wanted a this one. Do they have pallets in them, like organizing pallets, or are they just like Pelican cases with foam?
Probably no foam.
Because that's like the reason I like this is because it's like a technician's case, right? So it's got pallets to organize all your tools in and sections. So that was really important to me instead of like trying to cobble together like a Pelican case. And it's hard to find these things nowadays. I don't know why, but we'll do Toolbox one day.
from Roller Pinball on Twitch, any tips on fixing raised inserts?
Yeah, do it at your own discretion. So my thing with raised inserts is like, is there Mylar on the playfield? If so, like stop, or it's just going to be dangerous. What will happen is if you pound a raised insert down when the insert has already pushed the Mylar up, you're going to create like a air bubble, and that's just going to cause the rest of the Mylar to slowly, possibly lose its adherence. But if you have a raised insert and you want to pound it down, generally what I'll do is get a soft piece of like oak or something like that, lay a soft towel down, and make sure this piece of oak is kind of wide, but not too wide, because you're trying to put pressure on something that's relatively small, right? So maybe just like a 2 by 2 inch, 3 by 3 inch piece of wood. Soft towel, get that, mallet, and slam it down and see what happens. Sometimes they won't go in. The reason inserts raise is because wood and plastic expand and contract at vastly different rates. So sometimes it's so contracted that the insert just won't go back down. At that point, you might just have to remove the thing and trim it and figure out what's going on. I hate doing that. It's a necessary evil, but it's like if it doesn't affect gameplay too much, I generally don't worry about it. If it's really bad, like on an F14 that have all those like chevron inserts, I mean, I've seen those inserts crack and shatter inside the playfields, so it's hard. It's not fun to do either way, but I prefer the pound down method.
And then another question. Can I use, this is from Danijel Carr on YouTube. Can I use the FL11629 blue flipper coils on my Williams Fire pinball?
Yes, but I would recommend using what is stock, but I guess on Fire, wait, Fire? Not Firepower, yeah, Fire.
Williams Fire.
If you're trying to get more power out of your flipper, I would work on diagnosing why your flipper is weak before just putting a more powerful coil in there. Can you? Yes. Do you need to? No. Try to figure out why you're losing power. If you've already done the basic stuff, like replacing the links and stuff like that, into stroke switch adjustment, make sure you have good voltage to the flipper. Make sure you have a good clean coil sleeve. Make sure you don't have a cracked flipper bushing. Some things to look at. Don't throw a more powerful coil in there trying to mask an issue. It won't help.
I really regret that I deleted the ragtime music, because I would have totally played that ragtime track during that whole thing. Okay, another question. Moving on. Do you ever have an issue with both balls getting stuck in Xenon in the plunger feed?
I want to say something funny, but yeah, no, it's really common because Xenon was Bally's first multi-ball game, and they really didn't know how to do a trough yet, right? So you have to make sure that the goofy, what do they call those switches? The rotary switch. It uses a rotary switch for the second ball, and then it uses a leaf switch underneath for the ball that's staged. And if that rotary switch is finicky at all, it'll kick both balls out. It's just hard. It's a weird adjustment. Usually the wire form for that switch is like all bent out of shape and nasty, and yeah, it's make sure that the switch is doing its job, right? Take the apron off, put the ball in the serve arm, and then roll the second one in and listen, right? Roll it over the switch and make sure you hear it click, but make sure that once it rests up against the next ball, it doesn't unclick, right? If the micro switches have a click for an on and then a click for when it's unactuated. And sometimes if that wire form is adjusted poorly, it will unclick while the ball is in its position. So it's a pain in the butt. My Xenon still does it sometimes, and I thought I had like totally fixed it by bending a new wire form and like doing it super thorough, but I have to keep adjusting it. I'm sorry.
Roller
That's
Pinball went back and said, yes, the game had Mylar, but the previous owner cut around the insert. Oh, wow.
Try pounding it down. I mean, what are you going to lose, right? I mean, maybe you'll shatter your insert, but it might also go flat. So again, it's like deem if it's necessary, right? Does it really affect gameplay like really bad? Then try to go through with it. But if you just kind of don't like the way it looks, is it worth maybe causing more of a headache, you know? Unless the reason you want to do it is because you hate how it looks, well, then, you know, you got to take that risk and reward. Yeah, but that's another scary thing is when people cut Mylar too, because those edges generally aren't sitting flat now too, and those are going to start like peeling up slowly. Mylar.
I have a really bad Mylar issue.
Mylar is the best thing. It just has such a bad reputation. I put Mylar in sections of like a lot of my games. Even on new playfields, right? Like in my Xenon, I put Mylar. I cut a piece of Mylar around the pop bumpers just to keep that area from getting hurt.
Oh, yeah.
It's really awesome.
We actually did that in one of our very first episodes for Rollergames, right?
Yeah, we put pop bumper Mylars, the little rings that go around the bottom. That's a great way to do it. But, I mean, actually, you know, I was actually thinking about it. I didn't do it on Rollergames. I think I'm going to yank the ramp off one more time, and I'm actually going to put little squares of Mylar. This game has a lot of points where the ball like launches off something and hits the floor, and it causes big ball wear areas. And again, I don't care about the condition of my games so much as long as it plays good, but I'd like to put some Mylar down around where the damage is so it doesn't continue chipping away at the paint or something like that. Yeah, I have to go back in there and give that a shot.
Another question is, do you have a best pin removal tools that aren't crazy expensive? IDC and .156 Molex pins, ideally.
Yeah, IDC, your hand and your finger, and rip that sucker out. That's what I do. I hate IDC connectors. I do not use IDC connectors, and I do not condone the use of IDC connectors. Stop using them. Use crimp and stuff, Molex stuff. It's just better in every single way. For .156 Molex stuff, a screwdriver, a teeny screwdriver. That's all you really need. When you get into some of the more complicated stuff like AMP and like ATX and stuff like that, you need special removal tools that will slip into some of the housings, and I have them here. And then like these too, we use some of these, right? Like these guys are for the round Molex pins. It's all about having the right tool for the job because it's going to save you headaches in the long run. And then I've got this little baggie here that has, this is an edge connector removal tool that's actually kind of bent, which sucks, but you know, edge connectors are kind of obsolete nowadays too. And this one is for an ATX pin that has 2 locking ramps on either side of the pin itself.
We have to, can next week we do the toolbox episode? Because what are we going to do next week anyways? Might as well, right? Doesn't everyone want to see all of Kyle's tools?
No. Yeah, we can do that.
A little peek of it, and we were all like, what's in there?
Yeah, we can do it. That sounds cool. I'll finally get to clean out the bottom of my toolbox because we're going to go take all the trash and tokens and weird Chuck E. Cheese labels I find in the bottom of pinball games.
We have a lot of questions coming in. I'm going to cap the questions in a second, y'all, because we are running out of time.
What time is it?
But,
I'll be the judge of that.
We're an hour and 45 minutes in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Here, Kyle, can you make a Phillips screwdriver with milk of magnesia, orange juice, and vodka?
I don't know what that is, but I really want it, so.
That was a MGM Studios question.
So are you going to come and make me one of those? It sounds like something I need to drink.
Yeah, I think we should hire him as your camera operator.
Yeah, do you want to be my camera op, Mark?
Here's a real question. I have a Gottlieb Diamond Lady with the Vitrograph play field.
Heck
it's
yeah.
really dirty. What do you recommend for cleaning?
Honestly, I just use Novus to clean everything. Just be gentle, right? Like, yeah, you know, you'll go and read on the internet, oh, Novus is abrasive, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, you're not using it as like sandpaper, right? A soft towel and gently rubbing it in. Let the product do the work, not the force of your hand, which turns something very abrasive. I've been using Novus to clean pinball games for as long as I've ever owned a pinball game. And I've never, ever done crazy, wacky amounts of damage that people seem to think that using Novus will do to a pinball game. Just don't be dumb. Don't use a belt sander, right? Like use a soft cloth and some gentle motion and let the product do the work instead of your pushing. That being said, I've never, ever, ever done that to a Diamond Lady before. But I still think it might be a safe bet. I mean, if you're really, really scared, you can use the naphtha method, but I just don't like using naphtha to clean pinball dirt and stuff like that. Novus seems to do the best job.
Nice. And can you talk a bit about replacing ramp flags? This is from Pinhead's Arcade.
Ramp flaps?
Ramp flaps.
I hate it. It's annoying. I mean, you got to do it sometimes, though. I cut my own a lot of the time because it is difficult to get replacements for some of them. So there's two different kinds of spring steel. You've got like 0.001 and 0.005 inch. Some of it's like really, it's kind of firm and some of it's really floppy. You can cut it with like a good pair of scissors, a good like sharp pair of scissors. It's hard. It is hard to make your own, and you have to invest in riveting tools and stuff like that. I don't know. It's kind of a general question, but you can make your own, buy a lot, and make mistakes and end up with the best one. They are difficult to drill. When I drill holes in spring steel flaps, generally I'll get a punch or something to start like a hole, and then use a bit to start shaving away. Because if you just try to use a regular drill bit, it can start tearing it up and doing all sorts of wacky stuff. And you want to, again, try to avoid it from kinking. So I like to pop a hole into it first and then use a couple small drill bits to get it bigger. It's a pain in the butt. I'm working on trying to find a way to get spring steel made by providing samples and then having someone cut it using a water jet. So hopefully we might actually have some pre-cut ones available, but it's a difficult process.
And back at the Vitrograph, Nancy said, no belt sanders or blowtorches.
Yes. No, that's bad. That's bad form. You'll lose points. Yeah, ramp flaps. Annoying. But thankfully, a lot of the reproduction ramps now come with new flaps. Yeah.
Bat Out of Hell said, also the steel for ramps, the stuff I got from PBR is kind of blue. Is that a film I can't seem to get off?
Nope. It's the blue is part of the treating process for the metal. I think I don't know how it's done, but it's something to do with heat and some sort of a chemical to give it that kind of a finish. You can get bluing. You can go to like a gun store. A lot of guns that are like not shiny, they're blued. And again, that's from the factory, but you can get some stuff that will kind of give it a chemical film that turns things blue again. So if you have like a flap that you sanded a little rust off of, but it's still really nice, but it's kind of discolored, you could always try brushing on some bluing stuff. I've had good results with it in the past.
We sell bluing fluid.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Don't have to go to a gun store, unless you want to, but we sell it, so you can pick it up with your next order.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I don't spend enough time looking at that stuff on the website.
And let's see, a few more questions. Oh, this is a good one. Thoughts on polyurethane rubbers?
Good.
Good thoughts.
It's good. I mean, man, you're just trying to make me open every wormhole. Who's going to ask me about LEDs next? Polyurethane is the best wearing rubber. It also has the most similar characteristics to standard rubber. That's kind of fact, right? We sell it with the brand Super Bands. That's our in-house formulation that we came up with a while ago, and the wear properties on those things are excellent. They perform like standard rubber, and they have a long life. They are very, very difficult to stretch on to a game, right? Whether it's a flipper or around some posts, but they are very solid. I like them. Generally, though, I do use white rubber for most things, unless it's a game that's on location that has like a notoriously crummy spot where balls like to break. Or like when I have good players, at certain locations that have good players and you do a lot of post passes and stuff, I'll use like a poly band for the slingshots to keep those things nice. Sometimes I'll just put them on flippers. Sometimes players prefer red flipper rubber, so I ask the players. But poly's good. I like poly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked on an Italian Zaccaria techno play pinball?
No, but I want it.
That would be an honor. Right?
I used to have a Devil Riders. I love that game. I really like the Zaccaria stuff. I'm almost ready to just sell all of my pinball games and just only have weird European import stuff. That's like what I'm into right now. I've never worked on that game though, but they're good. The electronics are really solid, and the Italian games are pretty innovative too. For their times, they were really interesting, I think. I like them.
Yeah, and Bad Out of Hell, I just posted the coding for the Blue Spring Steel link.
Yeah, give it a shot. It's okay, and it's better than nothing, but it's not going to look as like brilliant and vibrant as your original, or what it looked like when it was new, right? So, yeah, and this Bride of Pinbot I'm working on, the left ramp is original, but I replaced the center ramp, and the center ramp comes with a new piece of spring steel, and it's super gorgeous, and it makes the one that I cleaned up look like absolute crap. So, I think the customer will be okay with it because I really don't want to cut another flap out.
All right, and the last question is from Wake911. How to learn to diagnose grounding issues?
Solve the issue, and then you'll learn something. I think a lot of people now. Let me put on my old man hat and old man pants, and just like back in the I had great mentors. I've had a lot of really good mentors teaching me how to fix these things and the way I should look and attack a problem. But I think we're kind of in a weird spot now where like there's a lot of people that don't learn, they just ask. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Sometimes you just want to fix a problem. But the best way, to me, and everyone learns different, the best way for me to learn is to solve the problem myself and store that in my memory banks, right? So you could go and ask everyone on Facebook or all day long and you'll get a billion answers and hopefully one of them's right. But the best way to attack that stuff is to do it yourself and solve the problem. It's hard because grounding things is hard. There's no like troubleshooting sheet for figuring out weird ground shorts. I mean, there kind of is, but it comes from experience, right? I might attack it totally different than someone else might from my experience and how I learned to solve these problems. So I can't really give you an answer. Just
that was great advice.
Keep going at it. I mean, try your damnedest, and the worst you can do is fail, and you have to call a professional to come fix it, and then you'll have a flexed game. But at least you'll try, right? I think that's the big thing, is just try. And now I'll take my old man clothes off and say, back in my day, I had to figure things out myself. We didn't have the internets. But yeah, no, yeah, and it depends, right? Like if it's a ground short, like for in the lamp matrix, like that is a total headache. Or a GI short, I mean, good, like taking every single light bulb out and hoping you're not blowing the fuses. It's hard, man. But I think if you solve the problem, you'll come away with a better appreciation for what you just did.
Awesome.
And that's my TED
joining
Talk.
us, Bad Out of Hell. Thank everyone for joining us. That was great advice, Kyle. And
thanks.
So next week we may get the pleasure of looking inside of Kyle's toolbox.
What's in the box?
We've been waiting for that. What's in the box? Yeah. Oh, and in the future, when it's available, we should be going over the new Avengers Infinity Quest.
Yeah. We're going to get one, right?
Quest. Yes.
Yes.
We're getting one. We're
Cool.
going to unbox it. We're not going to do the whole unboxing thing like we did in the Turtles. If you want to know how to unbox your pinball machine, go visit that one in the archives. But we will go through all the mechs, that look underneath the playfield, talk to some of the Stern engineers or artists. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
It'll be
we'll see who we can get. I'm excited to see that one. I'm not like a superhero fan. I don't know anything about Marvel. But dude, that game just looks incredible. And you don't need to be into the theme to like really enjoy and appreciate a pinball game, right? I'm so excited to play that game. I really want to get my hands on the premium because I really want to see that cool ball lock underneath the playfield. As Gary kept saying, it's like, I really liked Flight 2000 and Harry Williams' ball lock thing. And as I was thinking, a lot of those old Stern games had these really cool physical, kind of like a seesaw action to physically lock a ball in the playfield. It was super cool, and I think Keith did a faithful recreation of that. So
it's beautiful. Pinball newbie, you're just gonna have to see what's in Kyle's toolbox by tuning in next week.
What's in the box?
If it was my toolbox, it would be filled with beef jerky and
that's
Red Bulls.
I mean,
definitely beef jerky.
I wish I had room to put beef jerky in my toolbox. It's always good to have a snack.
And Pinball 122 wanted to remind you, Kyle, that you promised to make them some circuit breakers. All of us, actually.
Oh, you're killing me. Okay, I'll throw that on the pile. I'll try to find those. You know what the best thing to do is? I'll sit here and make promises all day long. Send me an email and hold me to it. I want to make them. I think that would be a really cool product to sell. I can have my own goofy designer line of stuff. Bench screwdrivers and circuit breakers, man.
Pin Kyle?
What's it? What's up?
Pin Kyle.
Pin Kyle? Like pin coil. Ugh.
Pin Kyle. All right, y'all. We're going to leave. We will see you guys next Thursday, possibly.
We can't leave until we raid somebody. We can't make that mistake again.
We are going to raid Family Games. He's all loaded up and playing Fishtails.
All right. That's awesome. Yes. Sorry to interrupt, but y'all are great. Thank you.
We'll join you guys in the Family Games chat to continue chatting and talking. And until then, see you guys next week.
Bye.
Let's raid.
Oh, it smells like straight Everclear.
8, 7, 6.
Oh, it's so good.
Is that homemade hand sanitizer?
No, that one smells like lavender. This one just smells like Everclear.
Oh, I like the lavender one. Okay, goodbye, everybody.